I became a midwife because I understood that women were not being listened to. I need to listen to women. In order to give them the help they need, I need to listen to them.
Midwifery for me was just a driving force, and I think it was about the family. It just was such an exciting time, and to be there and witness birth and how that, the mother and the family would just enfold that new baby into them. It was wonderful.
Until we have the ability for every woman who wants a midwife to have a midwife, I feel like the morbidity and mortality crisis for moms and babies is going to persist. We have maternal care deserts that are so desperate, and we need more midwives to solve that problem.
Midwifery has been a profession since ancient times, but is as relevant today as it has ever been. We must make sure that everyone receives skilled maternity care, no matter where they live. That's essential. Bringing a baby into this world, it's a mixture of joy, fear, risk, and ultimately beauty. One of the most troubling trends in the United States today is the continuing rise in maternal mortality and morbidity. This is a growing crisis, and it becomes even more urgent when thinking of underserved populations and people living in rural areas. Being able to comfort, empower, and provide quality care to people at this special and critical time. That's what certified nurse midwives do.
I chose to have a nurse midwife because I wanted professional care. But the main focus throughout was of the health and well-being of me and my child.
This is the story of the rebirth of an ancient tradition of midwifery, infused with new ideas. It's a story of human touch. It's also a story of a critical healthcare need and using modern technology to meet that need. But at its core, it's the story of a remarkable group of women and men who believed things could be made better for people, and whose work over generations has not only improved maternity care, but is literally reshaping the landscape of 21st century healthcare through distance learning to ensure a healthier future for people and their families. The United States has the highest maternal mortality rate among wealthy nations. Over 80% of pregnancy-related deaths in the U.S. are preventable. According to national data, 1,200 women around the U.S. die of pregnancy complications per year, while another 50,000 women have life-threatening complications. And maternal mortality happens with women of color 3 to 4 times more than it does with Caucasian women.
Sometimes I wonder if people really know the problem of the rising maternal mortality rate, particularly for women of color or women in rural areas. The maternal mortality rate has risen consecutively for the last 20 years. As a matter of fact, it has doubled in the last 20 years.
In the 1970s and 1980s, the majority of nurse midwifery education programs resided in universities, where the clinical teaching was, for the most part, conducted in large medical centers dominated by the medical model of birth, a model from which women of that time were seeking an alternative. Amid the many social changes that swept America in the 1960s and 1970s was a growing belief that the typical medical management of maternity care, childbirth, and other women's health needs was overly interventionist, overly controlling, and often disrespectful to women. Interest in natural childbirth, childbirth without routine interventions, such as anesthesia, grew, as did other alternatives to the physician-controlled hospital birth. Our Bodies, Ourselves, a bestseller in the 1970s, brought women's health care to the masses.